What's up, everybody? It's your boy DZRCKS here, and I got another Rocks Rants for you. So, I was on Instagram. I was talking to a couple of people, and I wanted to ask this question: Is taking a choreography class considered training? Why or why not? I think it's a pretty important question that, as a dance community, we should try to understand. And I got a lot of great answers. A lot of dope dancers responded. And I'm going to share some of their thoughts with you. And I'm going to share my thoughts. But before we get into that, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, DZRCKS. Bam! It's right there. It's right here next to me. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can understand when I actually post a video and if you can actually, hop in one of these videos. So, and get in the comment box if you got some questions. If you have a actual response to the question, go ahead and hop in there. I will definitely respond to you. I love these kind of things. I love setting up the community to really talk to each other. So let's make sure we do that. And if you like it, go ahead and give this video a like. But other than that, run that intro. Let's get right into it. So, again, the question is taking a choreography class considered training? Why or why not? Now, I think that's a very important question because considering everything that we do, considering everything that we do when it comes to dance as of now, everything is really kind of based on taking a class, whether you are taking classes in your city, whether you're going to a different city. Most people travel to LA. Just wherever it is that you're going, taking class, learning choreography has been a big part of dance and just growing kind of in all forms of dance. It's kind of been like the main thing. So I thought it was an important question to ask. Hey, do we consider this training? Now, I did have my own, I have to say this, I had my own thought process, I had my own ideals about what training is. And as I asked the question, I had to do my own research about what it is that I was feeling that I felt like what okay like what is this though, because but we'll get into that later. So one of the first things that we're going to do is like I said, the question, and I'm going to get into some of the responses, and I'm going to respond to some of the responses, and I'm not going to respond emotionally. I'm just going to say how I feel about the response. That's the first thing I want to say. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first response that I got was it depends on the instructor, in my opinion. Choreo teaches you to pick up quickly. Now, yeah, a choreo class, a choreo, ugh, don't ever quote me on saying choreo. A choreography class, it does, one of the main things about taking a choreography class that's going to happen is that, yes, you are going to be able to train in your pickup, which is a form of training. So I do have to admit that, yes, I agree. That is a form of training. Yeah, so it's real. Second response that I got was I'd say yes, only due to the fact that you're learning other people's styles within choreography. This is actually from my boy Herman. If you don't follow him, I'm going to put his information down at the bottom. I do think that you're learning other people's styles within choreography. I do think that's important, but learning people's style, um, it's one of those things that if you go back to my first Rocks Rants where I said choreography and all this stuff kind of ruined dance. Learning people's style, any people who are uneducated in dance will always say that what they do is their style because they don't know any better. They don't know what it is that they have liked, that they have taken from, that has created their style. So I think that's the thing that if you're going to say my style, you better know what your style consists of. So that's where a big part of is a choreography class training, where it's like, you guys see what's in the back. That's where a big part of choreography classes are just like, is this really training? Because if I'm just training to move how you interpret dance, there's a kind of a big difference in what that really means, and I think that that's important. But I do agree, like, the way that people interact with music, sometimes you're getting it, and it's also how you define style, the way they move, their musicality, this. So even that last one has its pros and cons for sure. The next one that I got was I think it's where you apply the training or even take a break from training for fun, either. Now, I think Jalen Tyree, super dope dancer, Sacramento, you know, born and bred Chapkis. He's doing a lot. He's done industry, community. He's kind of been all over the board. So he knows a little bit about what he's talking about. So I think, yeah, I don't think grammatically he knows what he's talking about, but but I do understand where it's about applying the training. You want to make sure that, if you go to class, you're trying to apply it. That's just what I think he's trying to say. And if you're just trying to just go and just have fun, you can do that too. Because that's a big part. A lot of people just think, if you're going to go do this, you got to make sure that you fucking, you master it, you do this, you do that, blah, 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 blah. And that's just not always the case. Sometimes mentality wise, what you need is just to be able to chill. And that's okay. Let's share. I'm going to share this one response because she kind of went off. This is Malaya, who now teaches at Mirror Image, who's taught all over, does a lot of community stuff, does a lot of competitive actual dancing and stuff like that, who's really trained. Um, and her first response is absolutely not. Coming from the comp dance world, training means technique class only. That's a big part. Now, to understand that side of it, you have to understand where if you're trying to do something, that means you practice the fundamentals, you practice the technique behind the style, and you really go out of your way to make sure you understand everything. And then you can start making choreography and doing this and doing that. But you have to understand the details about the style. And even I myself, being a street dancer, I'm just learning myself, like, hey, this is pretty important to a lot of other styles that I didn't really thought about that. So I definitely think, like, if you want to do a style, if you're going to do this, if you're going to talk about training, then we have to talk about it like this. I do think that that's important. Next response is from T Slada. My boy Tariq. Follow one up. Make sure you hop on some of their events. Make sure you go do it. My boy said, yes. Yes, he does think it is training. It all depends on the kind of training you are looking for and the teacher, which I think goes into, it kind of, falls into everything else that we were kind of talking about before. Like, what are you looking for and who are you learning from? If the class is going to be this certain thing that you want, if you want to learn the fundamental class and you go take a choreography class and they teach you fundamentals and teach you a choreography piece with fundamentals, that would work. Next one. It's from the Slam events. If you don't follow them, follow them. I've got their information. Everybody who I'm talking about, I'm putting their information at the bottom, so make sure you follow them. They said, yes, if you learn, yes, you learn how to pick up and execute different styles of choreography. Yep, as we said, different styles of choreography. You learn how to execute. Okay. And one last one. This is one of the students I had before. Her name is Uni. I say yes because definitely have taken class from choreographers like you, for example, who challenged me textures, movement, tempo, memory. Um, I do feel like, okay, yeah, whatever it is that you need out of class, sometimes learning choreography and you get to learn from somebody who's going to challenge you to do things, that's going to be important. It's always going to be important for sure. Another reply that I got is from Mama Kim. Mama Kim. Her response was quick and short. Depends on if the instructor is good or are they just coming to give you some choreography, which is a big thing. A lot of teachers are just giving you choreography, and they couldn't really teach you how to do it like they do. They're just kind of regurgitating stuff. I do think that's important. But this is the one that I thought, in my opinion, almost kind of matched my opinion. I thought that was important um, to save this one for last because this is, yeah. So this is from Crane. If you don't know like I said, I just linked this stuff at the bottom. I have been a fan of this dude for such a long time. The eccentrics, I like this, and to get to talk to him on the outside, me and him have had deep conversations about a lot of things, even from social justice to this to that to this to that to dance. We've had a lot of conversations, and um, he's got such an just he's good. He's just has such an awesome opinion about everything that I always really respect what he has to say. And again, he's at it again. So what he said was, from what I've gathered, majority of the dance class market's effectiveness is front loaded onto the students, class takers. So choreo classes, though set up to be similar to instruction, is more like selling an experience rather than passing on a skill. So the student is ultimately responsible for what they learn. I thought that was just, if I can just, my guy, that dude is so smart, man. If you don't follow him, please. He dropped this one video on his YouTube. You need to go watch it. But in accordance with what he said, that's kind of exactly how I feel. Um, so we got to talk about everybody else's, and we got to talk about his. But my opinion is choreography class training? In the end, I think it just depends. One, as a student, you have to make sure that you're showing up to class for the right reasons. Like, what are you showing up to class for? What are you paying, whatever the amount is, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25? What are you paying the amount for? What are you taking the class for? I do feel like a lot of class takers at this point will take class purely for your name. And people get to, you can do whatever you want. Do I respect that? Not in any way, shape, or form. I don't care about your name. If it doesn't match me, if it doesn't match my goals, I don't have a reason to take your class. I'm not saying I won't, but I don't need that. So the name has nothing to do with me. When I consider training, I like to think back to when I was first coming up, and this is 2005, 2006. This is a long time ago for you. I all I wanted to do was just be good at dance. That's it. But it's not just being good at dance. I just wanted to be good at what I wanted to be good at. So what I liked was what I wanted to be good at, and that's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything else. At this point in the early 2000s, there aren't the opportunities that everybody's seeing now. There's no At this point, viral didn't exist. This is not a thing. You can't just like drop a video and just like, oh, I got a million views. Like that must mean I'm good. This wasn't a thing, so you didn't market yourself based on the views, the likes, the this, the that you got from social media. It was just about talent, and the talent was eye to eye. This is where you saw the talent. And if it wasn't there, then what are you doing? We ain't tripping on that. So I think that when it comes to training, I think, does a choreography class give you training? Yes, if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking to train a pickup, performance, just learning choreography, then yes. Now, and then I have to count, learning different styles of choreography within whatever it is that you're trying to do. Because I do think that's the thing. Because choreography now has blown up into this thing that it is marketable. So a lot of people are doing it just for that. But there, you look back to the 80s, 90s, you look at the the pillars of hip hop, choreography ain't there. But there was choreography. Because if you look at battles, they had choreography, they had sets, they had this, they had that. So choreography is always going to be in there because it's just choreographed movement. So we have to take what choreography does as this is just an expression of what it is that I train in. So to take a choreography class, my biggest thing was always if we're if our whole goal is just to show up to class and be dope, then where is the training if training and the win are the same thing? That doesn't really make too much sense. It would be like me wanting to just go, if I want to get better at boxing, I'm just going to fight Floyd Mayweather over and over and over again until I win. That doesn't really make any sense. At some point I have to go home and actually train in everything that I want to do. I have to work at this. I have to work outside of this, and whatever my celebration is, whether it's class, whether it's a performance, whether it's putting on a set concept video, this is the payoff. This is what I trained for. So you have to always just remember that yes, a choreography class, you can get the few things that you can train in for choreography, yes. But to be better at dance, you have to understand truly what training is. And even at that point, there's so many different kinds of training that you can do. I mean, you think about even just the job training. There's on the job training. There's off the job training. There's recap training where you got to go back over. You fucking up, they're gonna put you back in. That's just three different types of training. So if we open up the conversation to understand that there are more types of training than we just give a one word example for, then I think that would be a lot better. It would be more of a cohesive thing between freestyle heads, choreo heads, these people, that where we say, are you training for dance? Do you love it like I love it? Kind of thing that everybody is going to feel so much better about it that there's not that much beef. So, yeah, man, that's just kind of my thing about it. Then it makes it so much easier to really kind of target where you really want to go. And a lot of people won't feel like, you know, there's been a lot of examples where I have been somewhere, done something that, people weren't as good as me. And then there's been a lot of places where I was nowhere near as good as the people next to me. And it all just comes down to the training. What are you willing to do when you get into those situations where you don't have choreography classes? Because this wasn't always such a thing. When you don't have these choreography classes, what are you doing? If you rely on classes for your training, they can be training, they can be this, but without it, how did you get good at dance? How did you do this? How did you do that? So I feel like as long as we can start to understand that there's more ways to train than just one, choreography, yes. In the end, yes, I obviously feel like choreography is going to be training. Especially if you do learn from somebody good. You learn from somebody who, fits along the style that you want to do, uses the techniques, and you're forced to use them because you're learning choreography, and you're learning something that you can take home and have something, I know the song, so I can play it and keep working on it. That is the thing with choreography, for sure, for sure. I mean, I've been that dude. That's the type of teacher I've been. But if you're not going to make sure that you take everything behind the choreography home, that's where I kind of start to feel like, all right, are you really training? You learned a piece, you remembered it, but taking what you want home, taking what you want out of the piece, has to come from really taking it home, really taking the techniques, and really training. You got to train. You have to train. And at that point, yes, you do need some on-the-job training from choreography. You need some off-the-job training from practicing all the techniques and everything behind the choreography. Don't just go to a class and just I kill that class, I'm successful. Because, like I said, you can kill 100 classes and not get better. That's a fact. You can kill it, but not get better. I have seen people who have worked their butt off to be able to go off in class and get a solo, but suck. It is what it is. If you're not willing to take the time to work at home, to me, in my opinion, then you're not training. If you don't have your own goals, if you don't have your own destination in mind, then no, you're not training. I also feel like, and this is just me being old school, if the only reason you want to train is to take advantage of the benefits that other people have worked for, da 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 da. If you're only moving in LA, moving to LA to say, hey, I moved to LA, I'm trying to make it a da 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 da, I'm trying to train in LA, but you never trained where you lived prior, why do you think you're gonna make it there? If you never actually trained, if you never worked on your craft, what are you even doing? It's just like if you take drawing, like if I'm gonna try to repaint the Mona Lisa, but I never just figured out how to paint and kept practicing everything that came behind making the Mona Lisa, then I have no reason to be trying to recreate it. It, yeah, no, I said what I said. I said what I said. No, I was gonna take it back. I said what I said. But, yeah, that's my opinion. It is what it is. So I think in the end, I think if we open up the dialogue to how we define training, I think that's going to be one of the most important things that we should do as a community, just as dancers, choreographers, all across the board. As long as we open up what it means to train, then I think that's going to help a lot of people, even just getting into this. They're going to have a direction to go. They're going to start to understand, like, what am I training and what am I training for? Because if we define training, then those people are going to have an easier time to really come up and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the way that I've learned that it takes to train for this. And we define that. That's easy. That makes it a lot easier. We have a lot less disputes. There's no choreo head freestyler thing going on. Everybody's working. Everybody's doing their thing. Um, and I just think it's going to open up a great dialogue that I think is important that we have. So, yep, that is it. Thank you for tuning into Rocks Rants. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you haven't already, get in the comment box. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What do you think? Do you think a choreography class is training? If you do, why or why not? Go ahead and answer that. And then also, I'll pose this question. What are some of the different types of training that you have done, that you look for in the style that you do? What it is that you want to do? What are some of the things that you guys are training in, and how are you doing it? How are you trying to achieve that? Let's talk about it. Let's get in the comment section. Make sure you guys are in there. I will definitely respond to you, and we can open up the dialogue. Let's make sure we do that. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and give this video a like if you liked it. Hit the notification bell to make sure you stay up to date. That means you just joined Team Rocks. Hit that notification bell to join Team Rocks. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'm DZRCKS. I'm out. Shabba-doobity. Shabba-doobity. That's a vibrato, by the way.